favor. This is one more, please.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to Otra, por favor, episode number 44. I am here today with an all-women lead-led podcast for Otra, por favor. I think it's the first time I've seen this in Austin, women talking soccer. How are y'all, ladies? I'll let each one of y'all introduce yourselves.
I'm Roma Desai, and I'm doing great.
Hi, Michelle. Gracias, Otra, por favor, for having us on set. I'm Gabriela Navarro. I'm one of the members of Los Verdes.
I'm Serafina Lopez. Super excited to be here with y'all. Great leadership team here, and let's get going.
Awesome. Okay, so let's just kick it off. Let's talk about the Verde. What did y'all think? What have y'all thoughts, anything? How is it going for y'all as a supporters group? I guess I let me start off with that, and then we could dive into how the team is doing overall.
Well, I think for us as a supporters group with Los Verdes, and honestly anybody in general, I think everything has gone well enough. I think it's been decent. It's been fun. There's definitely been the ups and down moments, just like any other supporters group. But I think the success that we've built within the community has allowed us to make everything else easy, and allows whether it's, doing collabs with other organizations or just like beer collabs or anything with the community, it has just fallen into place. So it's been great, and just the people and the talent that we have at the stadium, and the energy that everybody's bringing in there is just such a beautiful thing to see and hear, honestly. And hopefully it stays that way forever.
Yeah, I know you, Gabriela, from Los Verdes, president of Los Verdes, but I want to have an opportunity to give you all a little bit of a platform as well. So those who don't know, who really don't know what Los Verdes is, what y'all do for the supporters group, and then how much do y'all love this team?
Hi, I'm Roma Desai, also a member of Los Verdes. I think, kind of talking about what more about what Gabby said, the group is full of just inclusive members, and a central tenet, I think, to the organization is community and being inclusive and just being supportive. And I think that breeds the love of the community, that breeds all the support for Austin that's part of the community. And it helps that the team is doing better in season 2, but a lot of the members that we have been there since the beginning, and since the time that the team wasn't doing as well. And I think, a lot of what keeps the members around and keeps the excitement, both for the team and Austin in general, is just that community feeling.
For those who don't really know, all the different moving parts that the supporters group have, like what's exactly your role, I guess, in it?
Sure. I think that's another. So I'm one of the board members, but honestly, I think the way that this organization has been set up, and Gabby and Serafina have been on the board even longer. But the idea is that we have these board members, but we want to empower all our members to sort of be part of this community. We want it to be inclusive and not just have like a board that leads the entire organization. Everybody's part of this organization. We want everyone to feel that way and to contribute in any way they feel comfortable contributing. And that's led to this community effort. And so, there are people who work on the TIFOs. There are people that are part of La Murga, but also part of Los Verdes. There are, we have pickup soccer channels. There's all kinds of interests, just like the people of Austin. I mean, we have, I think, 2,500 or so members, and there are different interests across the board. And there are community efforts, volunteering efforts that are always popping up, and it's all, for the most part, member-driven. And as board members, we're there to help as best as we can and kind of lead, but the members themselves do a lot of the work and take the laboring oar. And again, that's part of what makes the group special.
Right. An incredible group, as we all have seen. And I've seen other fans from the MLS finally kind of recognizing Austin, right? Taking them a little bit more serious. I know I mentioned that to Wolf that, I saw supporters from LA Galaxy. She was like, guys, are y'all really trying to put Austin FC like as one of the better teams this season? And I was like, yeah, actually, as tough as I can be as a critic myself, I kind of put them up there. But I want to give you also the opportunity to talk a little bit about your experience and kind of what you do.
Yeah. So this is Serafina. This is my second year in leadership now. And some of my favorite things are just being there for all of the members. All these members have so many questions and things they want to get involved with and stuff. And they need people to kind of help them pave those ways. I love helping with our TIFOs. We have new people come out and help paint every single time. One of the fun things we used to do when we first started designing and creating our banners is like go to a local Austin art studio, and have tables all in the back and different banners at each one, and people come by and shifts, take turns painting a little bit. We did one downtown in the Capitol. It was a pop-up, same thing from that same studio on the streets. Local people walking by, just watching us, paint our banners for the season, asking what's going on, what is this? It's helping people get into that kind of creative outlet. And we're at the TIFO warehouse just talking to all of our members, saying hi to them, asking how things are going with them, their experiences. Like Roma mentioned, we have pickup channel, and I love being involved in a pickup channel. So much that we have our own LV team now that we're having games, and we had a whole tryout series for that. So I kind of helped run those tryouts for our members, and we had so many people come out to play and just want to be involved.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then game days, I love just helping all the members. They need song sheets, questions about where to sit. I know Roma helps a lot, kind of too, with Oak Front duties, kind of stuff like that. Just being there to help out our members, whatever they need.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know about the TIFO thing. They all kind of just like, oh, hey, let me paint here or whatever, Obviously, there's a lot of working parts, but now let's get down to the soccer. Obviously, if you all want to get involved with Los Verdes, always reach out. There's so many members that y'all can reach out to, but they also have their own page online, social media, Los Verdes. And y'all do a really great job for this team, and I know they recognize that a lot. But I want to talk about Austin FC, guys. Like, okay, what a comeback. Against, we were just talking beforehand, DC, and then, this last Saturday with Vancouver, 3-0, 3-0 is what I said. So that was nice, right? Let's try to make that a thing instead of 2-0. So let's talk about what y'all think overall about the team, and maybe who's y'all's like favorite player or someone that's shined, and then we'll go from there.
God, it's been such a huge different start of the season this year compared to last year. Like, I feel like the energy from the end of last season, that last home game we had was electric. So much fun. That same energy just carried, built up, and even now these home games that we have are just twice, 3 times, 5 times more what we could have ever thought it could be right now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, we've come a long ways. I mean, last year it seemed like everything was going wrong on the field. There was a couple moments where things would go right, and you could feel it. I mean, the players would, we would sometimes get their energy just by the way that they presented themselves. And honestly, like, there was definitely games where I was pissed off because you could see players hang their head, and it was upsetting, right? Because no matter what in the supporter section, like, we were screaming our lungs. The amount of times that, like, we went to Houston and Dallas and the results weren't in our end, everybody rubbed it in, right? And as a supporters group, like, you have to continue to carry your team no matter what, even though everybody's talking shit and it sucks and it burns, right? It's one of those things. So now coming into this year and seeing the difference, kind of like in DC, the comeback. I was telling you earlier, like, our team last year could have probably never came back like the way that they did this year. It's just a whole different mentality, and you can see the leadership that everybody carries, right? Like, I think last year you could see a few different leaders within the group, but now it's more than half of the team that feels like they can lead and that they could, say words to empower each other. And you hear it from the film, right? From the marketing team at Austin FC, like, obviously they do a great job, but they highlight those things that some of us will never get to see because it's locker room talk, right? But to be able to hear what they're saying in there and then come out in the field and show results like in DC, I mean, it's good, right? Like, obviously we just had a terrible day in San Antonio, and it was obviously, it also burned, like it hurts whenever we lose. But then to come into Vancouver and just kill it out there, obviously, like, anytime everybody says like 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0, like this PTSD for me as a Mexico fan, but knowing that Austin FC came out and got 3-0 was just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see, and I think a lot of people calmed down. So now going into Houston, I know all the tension is high. And, I hope we go there and we bring back the results that we want, and that we finally take the wins with Houston and Dallas this year.
Roma, who's your favorite player?
That's hard. I honestly, I'm one of those people that has a hard time getting the name of a player on my jersey, because I love the team, and I'm all about supporting the team, and they're all great. I mean, speaking of DC, speaking of some of these games, I mean, you see in different games, different people step up. That was a game Danny Hosen stepped up that, like, hadn't before, know? And so it's just, I think those are the cool moments that we've been getting to see, is that obviously year one is tough. Everybody was new. And for me, like, I think it's amazing. We had 250 people go to DC, not knowing if we were really going to win or not. The game up until the last 10 minutes was not great, and then it was, amazing. And but to have that many people still show up, that's for the team. And of course, we want to win, and winning is going to help bring in more and more people. But it's just, to me, there's something different here. And yeah, I think I love all the players. I could probably find
most improved.
Oh, I'm not gonna go there. No,
not Romana.
But yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's cool to see somebody different, unexpected step up in these last couple games, and that's a cool thing.
Right. And I think today Wolf said two things that stood out to me, which was, people talk about, or fans or the media, he likes to use that language a lot. They talk about how much better this team has been, but he also said that it's super important that it could get recognized, that the platform, he said that last season. And so this is just adding to the new players with experience that he added to the squad, right? I still think that sometimes, as we saw in San Antonio, the team can lack a little bit of depth. So you take out these key players and your team starts crumbling. So I have been super disappointed. I'll start with the bad one. I've been super disappointed a little bit with Ring. I think that I don't like him as a captain. I think someone else should wear that, because there's just sometimes where he does these little mistakes where a leader, your captain, should have been doing those things, right? But I think that's the only two takeaways that I can say. I think on the positive side, Wolf did say last Saturday, what he can promise and what he wants more is more goals. So by that, he kind of made it seem like, okay, so we won 3-0. I would have preferred 5-0, 6-0. Sometimes you hear this conversation about how a really bad team, not that Vancouver's bad, but a really bad team gets scored on like 10-0. Like when we saw, the Women's World Cup, and they're like, oh my God, why would you do that? It's like, no, like, this is soccer. Great. Let's do it. But
Cincinnati and Miami.
Right.
Right. Great.
So exactly. So so I definitely feel that the identity, what he wants, the intensity is there. So I feel more comfortable that this team going to Houston this weekend, they're gonna bring their A game. But I don't know. I'm super excited. I am nervous because their fans are a little bit. I heard some things that happened in Dallas. So it's a little worrisome, but I think the guys will show up.
Yeah, I mean, it's any of the Texas teams, right? And I think especially with Houston, I think we can all speak on that, is that Houston is a different location and one that not only, us as fans have to go prepared, but also the team. And making sure that we bring back the results, right? And like you said, yeah, I could see how Ring this year has kind of almost like dimmed down from that, like, I guess not popularity, but just from that spotlight of the things he was leading last year. I think he's still a good player and stuff, but I definitely see, like Drusy, he's doing so well. He's leading the team. He's being super positive. Maxi's doing the same thing. That's the type of energy that we need. Diego, of course, like, man, that guy is just amazing, right? Like, in and out through the community and on the field, like, who we wouldn't want to replace somebody like that, right? We could always replace somebody like Redes, I mean, I'm 100%, I'm 100% on board with that. I know not a lot of people like that, but like Wolf said, he's a practice player, but I don't think a practice player should be getting paid that much, right? Yeah. So those are the kind of changes, but I understand that Redes, for example, is a really young player and he's growing, he's developing and everything. But I feel like us and the fan base should see more from him, right? He should be looking to like Drusy and Maxi and Diego and all those guys that are really leading out there, and their leadership and on the field, like, take some points from that, right? Take some points from that, take it and run from it. Because as a young player, the last thing that you want is to not put your name out there and then be forgotten about. And that's what I worry about Redes.
Yeah. Talking about forgetful, Cecilia Dominguez, I feel like a lot of people, obviously we know that the MLS is investigating him. We don't know why, from the team at least, they haven't said why, but we do know that APD released some documents, not just saying that there was a disturbance at his household that could lead, I don't forget the word, I want to be careful when I say, but it was along the lines of domestic abuse, right? And then there's articles, you Google his name, there's articles that connect him to that back in Paraguay. But from the soccer's point of view, I feel like a lot of fans don't really necessarily want him back. How do y'all feel about that? I mean, it seems like the team is doing okay without him, and I know it's a hard conversation to have, but it's a conversation that I think needs to be talked about a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd like to believe they're tied together, right? I mean, we don't know all the facts, but a lot of what's been out in these reports and what we've seen both from a few years ago and most recently, it's really disturbing. Abuse is abuse, and that's not something, I talked about inclusivity and our community and being supportive. That's not something that Los Verdes stands for. That's not something Austin stands for. And so I think I'd like to hope that that's a big part of the angle of why most people in Austin are not missing Cecilia. But, I mean, on the field as well, we have been doing well, and clearly that helps to not have him. But, yeah, I don't, like I said, we don't know all the facts, but the stuff that's out there is very, very disturbing and not something that we support at all and wouldn't want our club to support and our community to support.
Right.
I just hope we hear something soon.
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of just left in the dark right now, and our minds kind of wander about like what is actually going on. But really, though, no one has any idea. Nothing's been said, and so we're kind of stuck in this circle right now of just your thoughts accumulating. And then when something does finally get released, then that's when everyone's emotions are kind of come out.
Yeah, this is just what I think. I think the MLS is taking their time and really deciding how they want to go forward with this, because they want to be super careful with the message that they send. And then obviously Austin FC will follow, right? But, the police report was they weren't pressing charges. That's a fact. The APD is not pressing charges or continue with the investigation, right? And then, I guess we'll see what happens. But I think, and regardless, how the team handles this, the front office, I think it's gonna, make a difference, and I think it will matter because it is Austin at the end of the day, and our, like you said, our community is super close, and we don't really stand for that kind of behavior in our community.
And I think just like kind of like Roma said, the history is there, right? So it's really hard to say like, oh, this is not another incident. It's really hard to have that mindset. But I do hope that if he is found guilty or there was found, evidence or everything, if thing goes against him, then I really do hope that MLS and Austin FC puts a stop to it, right? Because no matter what player you are, no matter your quality of play, at the end of the day, like, it's domestic violence is just not something that should ever be allowed in somebody's life, and it sucks that that's already something that's going on. And I think that, it was a positive to see that the club went out the gate as them pinpointing the issue right away and leading that effort into the investigation to start it, right, to open that back up. But in the future, right, I hope that there's maybe there's a way to do more vetting with some of the new players that are coming in, or a way to provide them with resources. It's little things like, I don't know, obviously I don't know how the club works, how onboarding goes or everything like that. I'm guessing it's just your typical background check like any other company. But I think also providing resources to families of the players, or to the players themselves, right? Like, domestic violence is a big thing right now. I mean, we're seeing it with like Johnny Depp, for example, and his ex-wife, like, just, on a bigger, more out there, like, or I guess a more famous person, than Cecilio. But it happens everywhere, right? And it happens in our homes. And same with Los Verdes, right? Like, that's a very touchy subject. I think there's many touchy subjects that we hit on, but we always are hopeful that, not only our leadership, but our members also pull through and pull together as a community and push forward to better these outcomes, right? Or provide resources for people that might not ever think like, hey, there's a helping hand out there. There's a good neighbor. And that's what all we can hope for is to help each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's honestly in minorities, in the minority community, I think it's very common to see domestic violence. So, I mean, it's just something, I'm Mexican and it's horrible over there. It's horrible. It's something that they also are trying to fix themselves as a society. But, all you can hope for is that, we move forward as a community and the right steps are taken in this type of case, right? But on the bright side, I think we kind of all spoke about how we feel, and I think we need to wait for that. But I guess on the bright side, we were talking about leadership in this team, and I just want to, I know Roma doesn't have a favorite player, but I want to give y'all an opportunity to see who's y'all's favorite player. I like to hear who's people's like favorite player, obviously besides mine, my opinion.
Yeah, I think the player that's really impressing me the most right now is Danny Pereira. Just the way he's stepped up and grown so much and just kind of isn't afraid to take that middle position on now and make those runs, make those tackles that lead to a run and lead to us getting a penalty kick and getting a goal. And those kind of things he's really stepped up to do is really cool to see on the field, just that confidence boost, honestly, from him. And I really do like Maxi. Yeah. He's not afraid to take those shots. And I love a good banger goal. So he's good at that. And Shoot away.
Apparently, he's a good cook too.
I could tell you who's impressive to me. I'm just not picking a favorite.
Yeah.
Just don't choose Romagna or Redes.
Those are Gabriela.
Obviously, those aren't my favorites, but man, it's hard because Diego has always been a very favorite player of me as a community member. But honestly, Maxi has been fun to see play and everything. Drewsy's on another level, obviously, because he's his own thing, and it's hilarious that everybody calls him Drewsy Dior and stuff, and and I love that.
He wears Dior.
Yeah, we can.
Dior.
He wears it well,
and he wears it nice. I'm so poor, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even buy a chain. A little chain costs you $200.
I know. Maybe a keychain one year.
Right.
But yeah, I really like what Maxi has brought to our team. Just that, that he has meshed very well with Diego and Drusy, and even Danny. All those guys right there have been working really hard and doing really good. And yeah, I would say Maxi on that one.
Yeah. He just knows the league too.
Yeah.
He's played all these teams. He's been to all these other stadiums, knows what those away fans are like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our struggle is on the road. And so to have someone who plays with us who has already played in all these stadiums and stuff, and he's calm about it, that's made a huge difference.
Yeah,
100%. Made a big difference in DC.
I will say I do feel bad that Maxi had to go through 2 terrible Texas teams to get to us.
Yes.
But at least he's home where he needs to be, and I'm sure one day he'll recognize that, it took 2 trials to get to the best part, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Your time's a charm.
Dallas and Houston, they're overrated as cities, in my opinion. But I guess to me, it's the obvious. The player that I think brings the more, let's say, the X factor, I think it is Driussi, because without him, you don't have Maxi doing those runs, making those runs, having, finishing the play, which is his job to do right on the field. Diego is great also as doing the same thing, but without Driussi and having that talent that he just brings, the swagger that he brings with his game, just adds so much to the team. You could just instantly tell that this guy's soccer is so different. So I mean, what's not to like about him? I think he's getting recognized with Tati Castellanos as well. And so he's another great player in the league. So I think he's going to have a really, really good season if, everything goes well and he doesn't get hurt in any way.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it on Drusy, because he's a finisher. He is on another level, and what that does is, one, helps the rest of the team, because he's going to draw players in, and that frees up some of these other players, and he's a great finisher. When he's on there, he's mostly finishing his shots, and that gives the rest of the team confidence, and that helps everyone else. He's amazing. Diego, I mean, that guy just doesn't stop. He played all 120 minutes plus in San Antonio. He played in DC before that, and then he showed up for Vancouver, and you can tell that guy bleeds for what he's playing for. Yeah. He's out there, and he really is putting it all out there. And Maxi's a proven goal scorer, but I think it takes all these pieces. And one of the things I think that's why it's hard for me to pick a favorite necessarily is because I think part of the good thing we did do in the off season is add some of these extra pieces that helped all the players out. And we still need to add more depth, but even, having Ethan Finley being able to come off the bench, these are proven players, and the more you have of those players, the more the entire team does well. But we do need a lot more depth, and I was concerned. I think everybody was concerned last year on defense, and I think that's an area we didn't add many players. Kip Keller's doing great, but he still is he's a first-year player. Right. Yeah. And we saw what happened in San Antonio. He was out, Romagna's out, and then, everything kind of falls on Cascante, and that's not enough. And we don't have anybody really else. We don't have any other natural CBs to help out there. They moved John Gallagher back there. He's great too,
Right.
but I think to me, the defense, I know a lot of MLS probably doesn't really value defense, but that's somewhere we definitely, to me, need more
Right.
depth.
I agree 100%. I think Gabrielson is getting used to still the type of play that MLS is coming from abroad. But yeah, Kip Keller, I mean, I'm excited for him, but like you said, he's like a Danny Pereira. I will see him flourish more maybe in year 2. But yeah, Gallagher in the defense, I mean, I guess I see why Wolf puts him there, but not my favorite move in my opinion.
I'm also just really happy Stuber is right behind them too.
Right behind
Yeah.
him.
He's
right there. So
Did y'all
Yeah.
see Tarbell? I'm sorry, but oh my God, I was like, what in the what?
To be fair, at least on that first goal, I felt like there was some not great man marking, and I don't know who that fell on, but
Yeah.
that was rough.
That was a tough one. But moving on, I guess we're talking about soccer and we're women talking about soccer. I had an opportunity to do a Spanish story on women's soccer in Austin. And so I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of the things that I learned from there is the future of NWSL coming to Austin. Obviously, I'll give you what Danny said towards the end, but I'm just curious to know, I know you guys go out to UT women's soccer games and whatnot, but I think adding an NWSL team to Austin, I think that would really that, it could be the X factor, do you see the aura type of thing. In my opinion, I don't know thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think it's it should be in a when, not an if. I mean, this city has enough support and a lot of women's soccer already kind of established here that to me it's a no-brainer. I mean, we talked, there's FC Austin Elite that's been around for a long time. There's Wilco FC, there's Bat Country FC, there's UT, and FC Austin Elite just brought Tigres to play over here. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then we've got indoor women's teams. The Fierce. There's so many, and the Lone Star program also has a really great girls and young women's program. And so I think, there's absolutely room and probably just as much support for a women's team here, a professional first division women's team, as there is men's. And that's not even, I don't even think that necessarily has to be the same fans. I still think there's plenty of support and you'd get the same kind of reaction you do for Austin FC, but for a women's team.
Yeah, I agree. What about
Man.
you guys?
It's
I guess since I'm sorry, I don't know your background, but I assume you played soccer. Right. Okay. I think we all did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess what does that mean? Because, we talk about Tigres. I talked to Fernanda and we were trying to figure out between me and her who are figures our idols were when we were kids. And we named all of these guys. And I was like, damn, this is, and that's how women's game is growing because now these little girls get to have, their idol, et cetera, et cetera. So, what would it mean to you, to have this? Something that we didn't really have, as we're getting older.
I mean, I think, it would just add on to the legacies that a lot of these players have left behind. And I really hope that Austin becomes part of that, history and that empowerment for young little girls that are out there and see them as their heroes or whatever, just kind of like I did at one point with players like Abby Wambach, Mia Hamm, all that. We have our artist Joel who named his daughter Mia, and it's such a beautiful thing to see that that soccer tradition starts with a simple thing as her name, and it's such a to grow up with that name and know wow, I was named after this superstar really, it's hopefully one day we have those women players in Austin that also, you know, man, I might even name one of my kids that, you know, and it takes people starting from the ground up, right, in the community, kind of like Danny Woodfill. That man has grinded since the day I've met him. He has worked so hard and has not given up, right? I'm sure there has been tough days where maybe he's just exhausted and has so much on his plate, but he does not give up. And he's part of those foundations, you know, and those are the people that need to be recognized once women's soccer does come here. Because like Roma said, it's not if, it's when are they coming, and hoping that, you know, Austin FC is also part of that. I really hope that they jump in and bring women's soccer as well, right? And that they really go to community people like Danny or some of the other coaches in the other teams, because really they're starting a small foundation that is going to turn into something huge, and those are the people that matter.
Yeah, 100%.
I grew up, you know, with the 99ers women's team and just absolutely idolizing Mia Hamm, and have an older sister who she wore number 9. And so like I would look up to my sister who also looked up to Mia Hamm. So just like these like strong female leads in my life. And so something really cool now is I work with kids soccer. And so I see, you know, the young girls out there are so excited to play and, you know, tough, and some of them, you know, better than the boys out there. And to see that passion so young, and like to think back when I was young, feeling that same thing too, having that women's team here, just bringing that youth excitement. Because also like the boys love to go to women's games too. They look at how many kids idolize our women's national team.
Yeah.
I know they have a huge youth market with the women's national team, and that could be the exact same thing here in Austin. I think youth sports and youth soccer in Austin is huge. There's kids playing. There's fields everywhere, all ages. I work with ages 2 to 8 years old. So from 2 and 3-year-olds, they're getting introduced to the sport here in this town. And, you know, sometimes parents can't take their kids to Austin FC games, but they can take them to a women's professional game.
Okay, when I interviewed Danny, when Tigres was here, obviously that was a really big deal for him. He expressed how big that was. But he also mentioned to me that the mission behind FC Austin Elite was because of his daughters his daughter that was basically telling him that her end for playing soccer was coming towards an end, right? I can't talk right now. And so I really connected with that statement because I felt the same way, and I appreciated him saying that and how he supports women and believes that women should get the fair chance to have their own soccer team. Now, when I asked him about the future of NWSL coming here, he just said that it's just so much, at least for him. You need to have, you know, someone backing you. And I know you mentioned that, you know, you hope Austin FC kind of backs him or backs, you know, this organization, this team that has really been grinding for the past 9 seasons and has done everything for women's soccer in Austin. And not just them, because you mentioned other organizations, other clubs, other involvements with women in sports. But, you know, that was kind of him telling me like, yeah, this is great, but there's just so much that goes into that, trying to get a team, because you need to really have someone who actually believes and trusts in women's soccer. And honestly, it's 2022, and we still live in this era where, you know, if you're a woman, you have to work for like triple hard as to what your compadre over here, you know, as a guy, not you. Not you, comadre. But, you know, your counterpart who's a male who probably, you know, just is given the job because he's a guy and he knows sports, you know, so.
I think there's so many facets of it too, right? There's even like promotion, things like marketing, TV. Like I said, we mentioned, I mean, there are a lot of, you know, local teams here. We have UT. UT consistently has players. You know, Julia Grosso was on there. They have other, you know, Canadian national team players, even in the youth U.S. team system. And Abby, I'm blanking now on her name, but there's an NWSL goalie right now who came from UT, from Texas A&M. I mean, it's just promotion marketing is really lacking. And so, I mean, even with the clubs here, like it'd be nice to have, more marketing for them, local things. I know you've been helping out with that, and we get involved when we can too, and we're all in tune, so we get involved. But it's getting like that greater community involved, the same community that comes out for the U.S. women's team, which is amazing. But so those people are there, and we can get them to come out for these. And I think, Danny's right. There's probably a lot of pieces, but I mean, Austin, we have all these people moving in here. We have a lot of women-owned, women-based companies here in Austin.
Elon Musk.
Imagine.
Okay, this just came to mind. Joining FC Austin Elite.
But there's
that would be crazy.
There are the people here to do it. You don't need, out in LA, Angel City, they're a largely women-based women investor group. We could do that here, but there's so much here, so much available that those resources are there. It just takes the people.
Kendra Scott.
Yeah,
Kendra
Kendra
Scott.
Bumble is a women-based
Mm-hmm.
organization,
I was
Sandra Bullock is out here. Reese Witherspoon just got involved with Nashville.
It's happening.
Yeah, I think it would, we have it here, but it would be amazing to get it to the next level. On top of that, Houston has an NWSL team, and you see what rivalries can do. California just added 2 teams, San Diego and LA, and there's already a crazy rivalry. That would definitely happen here for sure. And again, with all these local teams plus UT plus Lone Star, there's a pipeline too, and it seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, there's, I think people talk all the time about, I mean, probably even in MLS, there's so many men's teams that on an actual financial basis are probably failing, probably not making a lot of money, or it takes a couple years before they're actually making money. But there's people still invested in that because they see the future. And the same can be true for women's sports. And we've seen it before when they get even just a little bit of marketing and promotion. And so, yeah, I really do think it's a win, but I'd like it to be a really soon win.
Yeah. And I think it also will set the platform for, and more specifically, my conversation with Fernanda, how she and other players in Mexico played here and went to college here, but then they went back to Mexico to play Liga MX Femenil, which is very new, a league that's very new. And so she talked about how they still admire the way the U.S. women's national team was able to do what they did when it comes to the settlement, with getting paid, equally, et cetera, just putting their game up to a pedestal where now they're trying to reach that same level. And so, and now over there, it's like a melting pot. You have like Mexican Americans, Mexican whatever, right? Playing for the teams over there. But I think it will also like expand you see the MLS versus Liga MX, so it would probably be like the same thing. And talk about marketing, Tigres came and they always have their hinchas, and, and so it'll just bring so much like attention to women's sports, more specifically women's soccer in Austin. So, yeah.
That women's national team here, that atmosphere was electric. That was my first time I got to see the women's national team. I definitely cried. It was so just, oh my God, beautiful seeing a mom with her daughter. Like, yeah, we just drove from this other state to come over here. We had no idea there was
Chicago,
an MLS team.
I think. They flew from Chicago.
They were
We
right
had
next
no
to us.
idea that there was a MLS team here. We just came for the women.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's a cool story. I love that. Yeah, I love anything that's family. I'm like, oh. Yeah.
I noticed that at the Tigres game at Q2 also, like, there were so many families. It was so many generations of like the grandparents and the dads and moms, and then the kids too, all wearing their generations of jerseys and stuff like that. And that was really cool to see kind of that, the Liga MX like backgrounds of, they've been around for all this time. And to have someone very historic like that come to our stadium and kind of like, oh, one day, like that's going to be our fans, our community here wearing generations of jerseys and outfits and kits and stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's always like comforting. And I think that's what soccer brings to just people who are not just raised on soccer, but are learning soccer. But I just remember me and my family, me and my brothers, when we were kids, we would just like, it's typical Saturday night. We're all like on the sofa, 1, 2, 3, and then my dad on the other one and just like watch soccer. And so the same thing goes for when you walk into Q2, you bring like your cousins on. It's like, I know friends always like want to come with me. And if I'm not in media, I'm like, no, I'm going with my brother. I'm like, I'm going to go with them. Like, whatever. So it's like a family outing type of situation. But I think that it's beautiful also to see that relationship with fathers and daughters and, you know, being what they like, Kobe, girl, dad. Yeah. And so he would always do that. No. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh, you wanted to talk about women's communication? Sorry, you're going to have to edit
you
that.
want me to ask Michelle questions?
Oh, okay. Okay, y'all fire away. Okay. Okay, we can start over.
So, Michelle, you do a great job covering all sports and all news in Austin and focusing on women's
think
sports.
So? I do.
We know
Thank
so.
you. We know so, yeah. But tell us how you got involved in that and what made you choose that career path.
Yeah, so kind of going off of what Danny said, I thought my career in soccer was over after just getting older. I didn't really want to go to college to play soccer, but I wanted to be involved in sports and more specifically in soccer. So I was an advocate since I was at UT when I got in. You know, just trying to bring soccer in Austin. I didn't even know who Grant Watt was until he finally broke the news about Austin FC. But during that time, it wasn't Austin FC. It was Chelsea. It was like my love. And so I would just like always try to do some stories on soccer, but it was like so scarce. Like I couldn't really find those newsworthy stories, and I was just starting out. But I still made it a point. I didn't even know how to use Zoom. I think back in the day it was like Skype. No Skype.
Yeah.
And so I got him on, and he came on to our class, talked a little bit about what he did at Sports Illustrated when he was there. He was a sports senior writer. And so that's where I kind of started falling in love with soccer and journalism and what that brought. But I always felt like there was always a need for the Hispanic community. Because that's what we love. I mean, it's nothing but soccer, and then you have the NFL, but it's very minor in Mexico. And so I just kind of, after that, I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't know, since I guess now I'm still like trying to find my door into covering soccer like all the time, making that my career, because on top of what I do, what y'all may see on social media, I also produce like a newscast, and I sign reporter stories, and I do this and that. So it's like so many things at once. And, you know, I see my counterparts, my male counterparts or my coworkers, like Chris Bills, and, you know, they have one job. They have one job, and that's being a sports writer. And I have like 300 jobs, right? So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I do it for the community, and then I do it for the love of the sport. And I think it's important to have a woman to talk about soccer. And it's not just me. I know there's other women in Austin, but to talk about soccer, to get their opinion, because we talk about this machismo in our culture,
Yep.
And your opinions always get dismissed. And I always thought that was unfair, because I played soccer too. I had those conversations with my dad. So why can't I report on that? And so I don't know. I always tell my friends, when I was little, I grew up in a ghetto high school, and I always saw these girls pregnant and like becoming moms, and I would scare the shit out of me. I was like, hell no, I was not made to be a mother. How do you pay for bills? Like I kept like I ate a Lunchable today for for lunch. It's just like I wasn't made for this. I was made to carry on like a career and just try to figure it out on myself. But I wasn't made to be anyone's wife. I wasn't made to be anyone's mother. And not yet. I'm not dismissing that, but I just like that was just kind of always like my goal and my stride to try to make a difference, not just a woman on TV or reporting on soccer, but a brown woman that could do it in both languages. So.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, like, because that's something that I personally see. Like you said, you have like 300 different jobs, and we see all of them. Like at least, like I know I pay attention to all the stuff that you do, and like even when like the announcer position with Austin FC went up, like I was really hoping.
I don't think no one knows about that.
We
were all rooting for you.
Yeah, I was rooting for you to be out there, and because I think that's something that I do see that we need more of in Austin FC. I want more women in there and more women of color, especially, and just the hustle that you bring to our community is seen, and I hope that you get that platform, and if it hasn't been with Austin FC, I hope that when the NWSL team comes that you have that opportunity. And for me, I hope that you never give up this dream that you have, because it takes a shit ton of barriers to get to people, and like you said, kids aren't for all of us, sometimes like my goddaughter, she's like my little rentable, I borrow her and then I take her back and then it's all good, but within your daily routine and stuff, it's the career and the focus that, some of us Latinas have. It's a different mindset. And I mean, just women in general. Right. So I really hope that you continue to do the great work that you do, and that you get that platform, because you definitely deserve it. And somebody that I definitely recognize within our community that continues to just grind and doesn't give up. I see it every day.
Well,
I think that's so inspiring too. Like me personally, I hear your story and like I feel that same similarity. I got done with high school and kind of done playing soccer. It's like, okay, what do I do next? And like, family members had children and stuff. I was like, I'm not ready for that. And so I continued pursuing just sports in my college career. And I'm director of coaching for a kids soccer program, because I knew I wanted to work with kids and I knew I wanted to stay in the soccer realm. And just that's my hustle. That's my focus and my love and my passion. And then just being a female lead in a very male kind of atmosphere, you think soccer coaches and stuff, it's very male there. And to be a Hispanic female doing this too, it's inspiring. Yeah.
Well, and earlier we were talking about having women's players as heroes instead of just men's players, and that's the other thing. Representation matters, and so little girls seeing you on TV reporting about sports, that's a huge thing for the next generation as well. And we're lucky to have you.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that. I really do appreciate y'all's kind words. Thank you. But I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't. There's sometimes where, okay, I go to these, I don't know, meetings, press conferences, like male. But it's nice to not have someone that's not a male being in charge of like, or just like women leaders. Like, it's nice that there's actually women who are running shit, here in Austin in soccer. So, I mean, kudos to y'all too. I mean, like y'all do such a good job. Like, this team is so lucky. I don't know how many, like, it's just crazy, because even when I went to a Liga MX game in Mexico, it was like their fans were like, I was like 10 people. Like, it was just, it sucked,
It's intimidating
sometimes too. So y'all do such a good job. And who would have thought women are actually like, running things. And obviously, you have guy leaders as well, and not knocking them, but it is refreshing on my point of view, where I'm usually surrounded by, testosterone and so it's nice. But I mean, when it comes to Austin FC and me being the PA announcer, yes, that was super low key. And I remember Aries.
Yeah.
He was like, Michelle, you would be awesome. Like, he was just like there. And he was so sweet. And they asked me not to say anything about it. And I was like, of course, I won't say anything. He's like, we want to take these things in different directions. But then I guess they changed their mind, which is okay. I mean, I think, it's hard that not everyone sees your potential, believes in things, how they will work out in a positive way. But I also think the PA announcer does a great job as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah,
hey.
he's done a really good job. I think he brings a cool, like, a voice, a different, something that I wasn't expecting, but definitely, if that's what the club, like you said, if that's the direction the club wants to go, that's fine.
Right.
It's, and opportunities continue to arise, and you'll get there, and I'm sure you will, and I just can't wait to celebrate you once you reach that point in your career.
Hey, Houston Dynamo, I'm available.
Whoa.
Just don't get like a Houston Dynamo tattoo or something.
Oh my God! Wait, didn't the PA guy he like PA for Houston or something? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I think he has a
Just
tattoo
kidding.
too, but we'll forgive him.
I'm just kidding. Roma feels so uncomfortable.
No, I'm. Yeah.
You've crossed the lines, ladies and gentlemen. She has crossed the line.
And see, that's what happens when you drink sparkling water. But yeah, I guess I appreciate y'all ladies. I don't know if y'all have like any other things. I know we have a Liga MX, Liga MLS, CONCACAF.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we're getting there throughout the season, and we hope that everybody continues to support, and I guess throughout the topics that we've talked about is that at the end of the day, like, we all respect each other on and off the field, and that, those people that might need help on something, that they reach out and know that there's always somebody out there to help them, whether it's good or bad, right? And second of all, that, more people continue to support women's soccer. It's a very important thing that I think we need to be, have more eyes on in Austin, and to always keep an eye out, especially for our local teams and stuff, because they do have their schedules out there on social media, and they are playing. So let's support them when we can, and if we can attend those games, then to try to find different ways, different avenues to be able to support them.
Right. And before I forget, I think FC Austin Elite's next game is June 4th.
June 3rd?
June 3rd.
June 4th.
June 4th. June 4th.
4th.
Sorry.
That's okay. Before you make me question myself. But so y'all can check them out. It's at 7:30. It's in Round Rock. At the Elite Field. But I also want to close out with some predictions for this weekend. Hopefully this is out by then. I'm not sure. But predictions. Houston Dynamo por la copita.
Man, I think
Copa Texas.
I'm going to be really hopeful that we go out there and we take all our anger out. I mean, we've beat Houston before already. And I hope we do the same. Last year we did 2-0, and I hope this year's 3-0. So...
That's a good one. I like a 2-1. I think they're going to be really tough. I think, we're going to bring all of our fans. They're going to bring what they got. And I think it'll be a really fun match, but I definitely think Houston has a little fire underneath them too, coming off of their game they lost against Dallas recently. And so it'll be a good one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm so too bad Hector Herrera isn't here. But then again,
bad.
he's like...
Too bad.
Okay. Roma.
I'm also gonna go 2-1, but mostly because I think we might just throw them a bone there in their home field. But yeah, I'm going Austin 2-1 on this one, and respectfully, fuck Houston.
Yeah.
And I am gonna do 3-2. I think we struggle on the road still. So I'm gonna say a 3-2.
We aren't in the road though, because Austin we take all of Texas. So
And after that
that
DC
banter.
and stuff. No, y'all were at DC. What was that last 10 minutes like for y'all?
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Well, the whole game was that. That's the other thing, right? We always talk about even louder when you're down. I mean, we were there the whole game. We didn't have any instruments, and people were going the whole game. But that last 10 minutes, I mean, DC Audi Field is like super steep, especially where they had us all the way at the top. I swear it felt like we were like the stadium was moving in our section. Like
Maybe you're drunk.
I probably
Could be the head injury. I don't know, but
Could be that we were all feeling a little crazy because Pollo got locked up, but Pollo libre. So
oh man, but
things
yeah,
changed.
it was. Those are the. I mean, we live for this team, but those are the nights like we really like. That was incredible. I mean, those are the kind of games that you talk about forever, and yeah, it was incredible.
Historic.
Yeah.
Like that really was like nothing compared to the first season. I hate to compare, but that was crazy though. The intensity, I was just like, why by this guy that hadn't even played a minute?
That's right.
Like,
Yeah,
it was crazy. But
Yeah.
no,
Hopefully the guys come out with the win, and I hope they treat this and feel the support that we're gonna bring to Houston, and treat it like a home game, right? And go out there and give it their all, because they'll know on this weekend that we're all there. We're showing up just like we did in DC, and we're not gonna give up, and we're gonna continue to scream and yell.
is it going to be bigger than last year?
I don't know.
More people?
Them
I don't know,
bus rides are a little tough. Those bus rides are a little suspect.
Yeah.
So, but we're definitely taking big numbers. I don't want to dismiss that. I think, nothing against. Well, I don't know about nothing against Houston, but I think just a lot of people are on edge because of the situations that happened last year and the people that got hurt and stuff. And at the end of the day, like, we're at a soccer game. There's families involved. There's people involved in. When you're out there, like, beating up on people or stealing things and stuff, like, that shit is annoying.
Yeah.
Like, we're better than that. And so
Right.
all we can hope is that, all the Verdes keep each other safe, and we know that we're going with the positivity to stay cool, calm, and collected. And if things don't go that way, then we hope that, no one gets hurt and we come home safely.
I mean, there's no excuse for anything violence to happen, because I even heard in San Antonio there was like this whole protocol where fans are supposed to go this way or the other way, or there's right. So there should be a protocol by the front office, or at least some kind of situation where they're able to separate both supporters group. And obviously Houston's responsible on that mostly. So I hope they do that, because
and not only Houston, I mean, I hope MLS too, right?
Yeah.
I think at the forefront of all this, like, MLS has to keep all MLS teams responsible for the actions that are going on in stadiums, and essentially to an extent outside of the stadium too, right? It's unfortunate that we have to go with a lot of like tension into this game, but that's what rivalries are all about. But sometimes people just take it too seriously, and it just gets out of hand. And hopefully, again, like I said, we come back with our people without being harmed, and everybody gets home safe.
yeah. I think there's nothing that we love more than passion, but we want that to be passion for our club. We want Houston to have passion for their club as well, right, but leave it on the field and supporting your club versus our club, and that's the way it should be, right? We appreciate that, and we just hope everyone can follow that kind of mantra, because that's what we're all here for. We're all here for our team.
Right.
And not for these extracurricular things. So.
Exactly. No one needs to end up in the hospital or anything.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys so much. This was Otra, por favor, episode number 44. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find me at Michelle Sánchez _TV, Gabby at Gabriela Navarro.
I couldn't tell you my Twitter handle. Something Gabby Navarro.
She doesn't have social media. She stays, as a ghost, but she's always there.
And you can find me on Twitter at Serafina Lopez.
Yay. Okay. Thank you so much. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Esto es Otra, por favor. This is One More.